Don't spend your life protecting stability so much that you never fully bet on yourself and you get to your last day and have regret.
Welcome to the Economy Creators Podcast and Radio Show on KFRED Work Life Balance Radio. I'm your host, Mary Farias. This is where we spotlight real stories of entrepreneurs and creators building their U shaped economy around their unique interests, talents, and experiences. This podcast is part of a larger space called Economy Creators. I'm editing and publishing the Economy Creators Anthology, where I highlight and share the stories of 11 entrepreneurs and creators. Each one is in different phases of their entrepreneurial journey, and each has an incredible story to tell. You'll get to meet and learn more about each of these economy creators on this show, plus, learn some tips from those who are making it happen. If you would like to be on the show, want to learn more about the anthology or any of the co authors, or simply have a question about being an economy creator, just reach out to me. I'm here to help you in any way that I can. And if you're an economy creator, I invite you to reach out and apply to be a guest. I love meeting and spotlighting economy creators. Today, my guest is Rian Nilsen, one of our co authors in the Economy Creators Anthology. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, Mary, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, I would love to ask you a few questions about how you're going through this project and how it's working for you. So, first question is, what really drew you to this project in the first place to be a part of an anthology called Economy Creators?
Well, first of all, the name, Economy Creators, and the idea of creating my own economy has always been something that I've wanted since I can remember as a little kid. And I spent a lot of my adult life searching for that, but I kept going back to my comfort zone, which was my job, my uh, my fixed income. That's what I call it now. And but I really truly desire to live outside of the traditional corporate model or traditional way of earning money and to be my own boss. And when you think of create your own economy, that means you're literally your own boss and it's your economy, not somebody else's economy that you're creating. So that really got my attention. The other thing is I am not a published author, and this would be a great way for me to get published along with some other amazing people inside of this anthology.
Wonderful. Ah, yes. So, what is so important about sharing your story right now? Why do you feel so compelled to do it now?
Ooh, right now is a perfect time because there's so much instability in people's lives right now in regards to our economy here in the United States. There's this tension, there's this block or this something that people are feeling stuck about because, you know, they're just settling and just quietly living just in a place where in between tension and stability and freedom. And so I I can identify with that because from the outside, I looked really successful. But internally, I felt no longer fully aligned with the life that I want to create. I really want to create. And I think many people are at that same place. And so I want people to understand and the readers to understand that if they're still trying to figure it out, because I spent over 20 years in corporate HR. And then before that, I was in 14 years of retail in management and team leadership and started up and was grown from the inside out and moved into a different career and then quit 5 years ago. I say quit. I exited. It was mutually beneficial. I'll just say that because I not that I was ready necessarily. It was just that, that clock was ticking and I still haven't got it figured out, but I know I can still do this because You just have to just start. It it begins, and it began long before. The idea of creating my own economy was not coined that way, but it had begun long before I knew what it was called. And I think a lot of people out there are feeling that as well.
Yeah, I remember, being in the center of gymnastics was the center of my economy for so long, and I owned a gym with my husband, and here's the thing is I had that going on, spinning that plate, as I call it, right? But I felt this isn't it. This isn't enough. This is not exactly what I'm meant to do. Is that what you felt?
Yeah, I mean, I was successful. I was comfortable. I was well liked. I was well known and was trusted and a partner to all levels in the organizations that I worked in. But there was still something missing, and it was my autonomy was being challenged, even though I felt so autonomous because I was so trusted, and there were things that I was able to create on my own, but they never were my own. They always belonged. See, when I left, everything that I had created, everything, every program, every initiative, every document, every policy, every procedure, everything stayed behind because I didn't own it.
This is so true. When we have a job and we are creative beings and we do things for this particular position or this particular job, and we put our best foot forward and we create the best things for it. And then when we leave, we're not able to take anything with us except for the satisfaction of the fact that I did that, right? And part of creation is being able to keep it. When I work with authors, I make sure that they keep the rights to their work because it's important for us as human beings to know that what we do, what we create for other people is something that we can continue to share in the way that we're meant to share. So, what feels true for you now about the idea of creating your own economy?
Oh, yeah. It's about taking back ownership of my life and reclaiming that as, an author of my life and being able to use that to, for myself, but also for others to provide some direction, some kind of unique contribution that may resonate with them. And if they can say in their mind, if he can do it, I can do it, then I know that my idea is fully grown because it means to me to create value through connecting with people, collaborating with people, relationships, service, creativity, partnerships, and alignment instead of depending entirely on structured traditional values and things that a lot of people think that that's the only way they can succeed because it feels secure and they can identify with it.
It's only secure until it's not, isn't it?
You know what? I used to say this and because it was said to me when I went into management for the first time back when I was in my 20s. I think it was a director that said this, a regional director that said, you know, my job is not guaranteed. Your job is not guaranteed. I could wake up tomorrow and not have a job. And a lot of people think that, they've secured their stability, but we're never truly secure until we become self-sovereign and we have our own stability, our own economy that we created, not somebody else's economy that we're working inside of.
Yeah. Which leads me to this question. If a reader remembered only one thing or one idea from your chapter, what would you want it to be?
Mhm. Well, this one I could proudly say that I always felt like that I had to wait up until recently. I realized that you don't have to wait until you feel completely ready or certain before you begin betting on yourself and creating a life that feels more aligned with who you are.
Yes. Sometimes, here's the thing, sometimes the universe just kicks you right out of whatever was comfortable and throws you into this new this new arena, doesn't it? That's what happened to me.
Yes, indeed. And I was aligned with something greater, something more. That's why. And you were too. That's why we both got kicked out.
It's a badge of honor.
Yes, it is.
So I love this next question because it has a lot to do with belief shifting, and that's one of the things that we really talk about in Magnet Mind. So what do you believe now that you did not believe before your journey began?
Mm, yeah. I didn't know this all my life. I'd never really understood this until now. Now it's become crystal clear that I now believe identity shapes results far more than circumstances do. I remember learning, and I think I have it written down, and maybe even it's in a Bible. I think one of my Bibles I wrote that down from when I was in my 20s, and I didn't really understand it at the time, but it was just something I was like, this sounds really positive. I like this. And it may or not be true, but I think it is true because I think it starts with 5 or 10% is the circumstances compared to 90 to 95% is our attitude around those circumstances. And now today, I equate it to 95% is our identity or mindset, and the other 5 or 10%, whatever you want to call it, is circumstance.
I'd like to step away from the interview for just a minute. Ryan here is talking about self image. He talks about how we see ourselves, how we see the circumstances, how we see ourselves inside the circumstances is what creates our reality. It creates our life, it creates our experience. So when we have a self image that is expanding and large and positive, we begin to see those reflections in the circumstances around us, no matter what the circumstance is. If it's a difficult circumstance, we see that we are able to overcome that circumstance. We're able to get on top of it, rise above it, and we're able to see through to the other side. However, if our self image is such that we believe ourselves to be incapable or less than, then we begin to see inside those circumstances that are around us reasons why we can feel less than, insecure, or unable to meet the circumstance head on. This is an important delineation. And once we begin to understand that our image of ourself is reflected in how we show up, then we can begin to shift our image of ourselves. This is so, so important for people to realize. And here's the biggest sign that you can begin to be aware of in your life, and it's all internal. What voice that you hear most often, the voice that speaks to you, your internal voice. What is this internal voice saying most often? Is it saying, I can do this? Is it saying, I've got this? Is it saying, oh, I've done this before? Or is it saying, I can't believe you just did that again? Who are you to do this? Why are you even trying to surmount this circumstance? Do you see the difference? So notice how you're speaking to yourself, and then it's time to begin shifting it if it's less than positive. All right, back to the interview.
Again, it goes back to feeling like you need to protect. protect stability. And sometimes people are afraid to look in the mirror and really understand who they really are. I've asked people from time to time, how's your relationship with your mirror going lately? And they're like, what? I say, "Well, what do you think of when you look at yourself in the mirror?" I say, "Oh, I don't like to look at myself in the mirror." I think many people believe that they should be in a place where they're safe, they're protected, they're they would rather be comfortable playing small than taking a risk to play big. And what happens is they end up giving up something that they really should be doing, and that is fully pursuing the life they truly want.
Mhm. That's perfectly well said. I love that. So, who is it that you want to speak to? What reader are you writing your chapter to? Because there are 11 co-authors in this book, and we're all they're all speaking to someone just a little bit different. So who's your reader?
My reader is someone, once they read, they start to realize that they actually feel internally pulled towards something more independent, more meaningful, or more aligned with what they truly want. But who has spent years playing it safe, being comfortable, delaying any action, or just doubting themselves altogether, especially someone transitioning. Definitely somebody who really wants to, but they just can't figure out or muster up the confidence to transition out of employee thinking into creator thinking, which would be
Yes. So
having,
important. It's so
yeah,
important.
definitely.
So what do you hope the reader feels after reading your chapter in your story?
Well, I trust and hope that they feel seen. I really want to connect with people. I want them to hear a message, a fresh message from someone who's actually been in the trenches like them and has come out. Um, and I want them to feel encouraged, so encouraged that they feel reassured, that they know that they can feel like that they do have the ability and feel empowered to trust themselves more and begin moving forward before having everything figured out. And I know that's gonna sound sometimes risky to others, and then some people are like, they're gonna feel liberated with that. Because, you know, there's gonna be both sides of the camp. Some people say you gotta make sure you have a safety net before you jump out of the nest. Others are gonna be like, "Don't wait for the golden parachute, it's never gonna come. Just jump. Just do it." So, I want them to feel inspired, bottom line, but also want them to understand that, they're my people. I see them, and I want them to feel heard.
That's great. That's great. So you talked a little bit about your past in HR and in retail leaderships. Tell me about that turning point when you decided to burn the ships. What happened? What was it that just said in 2021 I'm done and I'm going? What happened?
What happened is this it was like I was holding I'm gonna have to give you an analogy to think about this. It's like somebody's probably said this before, but one that is my favorite is that for all my life and in this specific career, and even just the 2 years that I was there in that special role, and this was during COVID, and it became a permanent. I say permanent, nothing's permanent because I said that earlier. Everybody's job can go away the next day. But, it was like it felt like I was holding a beach ball under the water, and it was getting so hard to keep down, and I was running out. I was just so tired of holding it down. It just all of a sudden, I've had to let go. I ran out of strength. I ran out of desire. I ran out of the wherewithal to put up with what was going on there. And I was like, I was thinking, do I wanna spend another day, um, I think it was Steve Jobs or somebody else, Mary, that said, you know, what do you wanna do today? Make sure that when you wake up in the morning that you do what you wanna do. If it was the last day of your life, would you be doing this, holding this beach ball under the water and just struggling to keep it down? Or would you be letting it go and letting it pop up to the surface? I think there's other people that, use the, analogy of a cork under the water and it bobbing to the surface, and then once that happens, you're free. So I had sort of a kind of experience in my mind, and at that time, circumstances just really just played out. The universe helped orchestrate a an event that would give me an exit that felt so liberating and so, it's time. It just felt like it was like, "Here's the sign, read the writing on the wall, now is the time, ready or not, here I come." That's basically what it was.
Yeah. Yep, I can identify with that one for sure. So, as you as you transitioned out of the employee mindset and into the entrepreneur mindset, what types of personal development did you do? What types of identity work did you do?
Well, I think I started that way before I left. I had been a lifelong learner all my life, and, I was studying a lot of different things, and I came across The Secret like a lot of people, like millions of other people did, and I really has always been, attuned to positive thinking and gurus that are talking about how you can have a better life and this and that, but the main one was the law of attraction, and started realizing this is why these things are happening because I'm attracting them. My vibration is telling me it's time to move. And I knew that I had to do more work on myself. And Jim Rohn was a very, a very influential person because he, one of his famous things that he will always say is that work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And I hadn't been doing that. And I wanted to do that. So I locked into watching Bob Proctor stuff, getting involved in all of that and getting involved in communities, and which eventually led to a lot of people in my life that I didn't have that have also gone on a similar path, and we're all studying material with you, Mary, under Bob Proctor's tutelage and all of the others at Proctor Gallagher Institute. And it's just pales in comparison to anything I've ever done in corporate training situations, education, of course, going to school. They don't teach this stuff. And I think, you know, personal development has been in my life since I can remember. I think, the classic story is when me and my friends would go into a bookstore, all my friends would go to the comic book section, and I would always go to the self-help section. So I was always craving something to learn how to grow as a person. I had very traumatic childhood, and the relationships were just not healthy. And so I wanted to be a healthy human being, and I wanted to grow into a healthy adult. And I got into the employee mindset for a long time, but I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. That's why I was promotable. I was promoted because I had a natural desire to lead others and to be genuine, be authentic, not be any different. To do what I say others to do, I would do myself and be accountable and also be responsible and always practice what I taught. And, yeah, so studying mindset more deeply became a priority. And again, the universe magically, precisely by law, orchestrated events to where I would meet people like you and others in many different communities and really gravitate on this work over at Magnum Mind community. Yeah. And practicing it, not just studying it, but actually using it and being an accountability coach for others, leading programs, leading challenges, encouraging people, having one-on-ones with members inside of our community and beyond, and becoming more visible publicly, which is another reason why I wanted to be a part of this anthology so that I could be in a room like this with you, Mary, talking about it. And
Yeah.
yeah, you know, because you just have to be willing and able. You don't have to know how to do it. And I learned that it's okay and just do it. Just get out there and do it. And even if I'm not confident, because I'm willing, that replaces my confidence. And then eventually I just do it perfectly imperfect because that consistency over time is more important than perfection. And I'm just everyday people like everybody else. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I like it. Well, Ryan, you mentioned rocky relationships as a kid growing up. And do you find that this is precisely why you seek out genuine and strong relationships now, and that's a focus for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I just talking off the cuff here, you brought up something. When I was a kid, my favorite show was the Brady Bunch because I wanted to have their family. I wanted to be in that family. They related to each other. They talked to each other. They had crucial conversations well with each other most of the time. Of course, they all had their points where they struggled, but for the most part, it was like the model family relationship that I grew up in a nuclear home, but it was not at all like that. And so that's so I naturally would be wanting to be around people like that because I also learned that the more that most you become like the people you spend the most time around. I know that it sounds kind of cliche, but I realized where I was when I was working in the situation I was working in that there was a lot of times where I was the smartest person in the room, which I thought was crazy. But in other times I was like, well, where are my mentors here? Why, where can I get support? Where can I dwell with people that are growing instead of existing? And so, yeah, um, it's been, it's really important to have consistency and stability, and especially for me because I spent so much of my life afraid of it, afraid of instability and afraid of inconsistency. Af I was afraid of betting on myself. Yeah, it was eh, being around people that are encouraging, people that are healthy, people that, are growing. They're not perfect, but they're all willing to expand and grow together means more to me than, being in a situation where, I'm getting paid really well. Just I know that sounds really it doesn't it pale the 2 are not the same at all, but you can have both because a lot of the people nowadays that I spend time with are very successful, they're very healthy, they're on their way to growing their own economy, creating and growing your own economy, and that's where I wanna dwell, and so I didn't wanna wait for that to happen where I was showing up in the workplace. I made it happen by exiting the workplace.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. So let me ask you this. Has your definition of success changed since exiting the employee mentality?
Oh, yeah, totally, and I mean, the first thing that always comes to my mind, and it's not my own words, but it's Earl Nightingale's words, and I first heard it from Bob Proctor, that true success is the realization of a worthy ideal, and that's exactly what I want. I want to explore, and I want to go after that worthy ideal for my life, and that includes giving more to others than what I get paid for. Most of my life, I have been giving more to get more. And then when I went into a different sector, and the one that I left, the attitude was there that never do more than you need to do. I'm like, what? When I went from the private sector to the public sector, I was like, wow, this is a whole different culture. I don't know how long I'm going to last here, but I ended up lasting in that particular role for 15 years. Or at least in that organization, because I thrived on just wanting to make that place a better place to be. I was in a position that I was able to create things that and improve on things that made the experience, especially for new employees walking in, more of a, you know, we are a great organization, and we have great benefits, but it's more than just the great benefits that people wanna stay there. It's creating a culture, and, there's only so much I could do. There's only so much I could do as a one person. So, now I have infinite potential and possibility in expanding who I am, and it gives me so much joy and and so much freedom and so much satisfaction in doing that. On my own, way more than it was inside of an organization where I was like, could only push the envelope so far and make just a little bit of dent. You know, creating a dent in the universe has always been my goal in a positive way, and making a difference. I know that sounds cliche, but adding value, making a difference is really my MO, and it always has been. But it's even more powerful now that I'm in a situation where I have the autonomy to be able to spend time with whoever I want, do the things I want to do, live the life that I wanna live, and grow along some amazing, incredible go-givers and growth-minded people in the world.
Yeah, I love that. And so, one more question about this is you mentioned autonomy, and I think that that's key to economy creation because we want to create an economy around ourselves, a U-shaped economy, YOU. So when we're in this corporate structure, necessarily we get boxed in, right? We can only grow so far as those four walls will allow us to. So now, as you step out from that employee mindset and into the entrepreneur mindset, how have you seen that U-shaped economy and the possibilities grow?
Well, I've seen see what happened is I seen how much of a learning gap there was between me and being an entrepreneur, and so I quickly caught up as fast as I could, and I still am catching up in a way because you never stop learning. You have to keep learning, you have to keep growing because we're always evolving, and so I I have much more, excitement and energy towards the possibility of a U-shaped economy than ever before because I never saw anything except possible pension at the end of my life. Like an existence of like, okay, got this, now what? Attitude. And I'm like, no, I don't want to live like that. The possibilities are infinite. And you know, it's see for me, my life is really just about growing as a human being and getting outside my comfort zone and letting go all the fear, just just feeling the fear anyway, and just moving on my burning desire to be my own self-sovereign boss and and be my own employer, um, and teach other people how to do the same. Help people get to that point too. It's all
But
about making partnerships, and that's where I see the best connections that I've made in the last 5 years has all been based on partnerships.
Mhm. That's a thread that I'm noticing throughout each each person's chapter is that it really is about building these relationships, and, I think that's great. So, what is a final thought, word of wisdom from Ryan that you would like to leave the listeners with?
Wow. Final thoughts. If you are wondering, asking yourself, "Well, what does this mean? What does my life look like? What's next for me?" I would wanna say something like, "You may be much closer to your next chapter, to your next move than you think." And if you have a desire for something more, then you are aligned with your highest self because you are meant for more. You're meant to expand, you're meant to grow, you're meant to be happy, you're meant to have joy, and you are meant to have freedom. And all of that, that desire for something more aligned is not random. And one last thing I
Mhm.
would want to say is don't spend your life protecting stability so much that you never fully bet on yourself and you get to your last day and have regret.
Oh, that's so good. So, Ryan, where can people reach you?
Well, you can reach me on Facebook. That's the platform that I'm on the most. Ryan.Nilsen. If you get on Facebook, just put in Ryan.Nilsen. And also, I have a YouTube channel. I have an email address that I have attached to that YouTube channel. Where on this YouTube channel, it's called Ryan's Reviews, where I review and promote info products and software inside of, and also personal growth and development inside of the make money online niche. But mindset and making money go hand in hand. They're not separate. The best way to connect with me, you can send me a message at ryansreviews.com. You could come into Mary's community and you'll see me there every day inside of Magnet Mind community. And yeah, those are the easiest ways to to just check in with me and just send me a message, send me an email at ryansreviews.com and I'll be happy to chat with you. No pressure, just let's hang out.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ryan. Can't wait to read your chapter.
Thank you, Mary.
And thank you for listening. Are you an economy creator? Join me for the Economy Creators Workshop the first week of every month. And if you'd like to be on the Economy Creators podcast and radio show here on K-Fred Work Balance Radio, reach out and apply to be on the show. I can't wait to meet you.